I was a cast member at Walt Disney World for 5 years. I had to help guests off of Avatar Flight of Passage because the vibes were off and the spirits were telling them not to ride. And this is a cast member story. During my time at Avatar Flight of Passage, I got to watch incredible family moments and specific guest interactions when people were getting off Avatar Flight of Passage. If you've never done the ride before, it's simply incredible. One of the greatest, if not the greatest simulators ever created. This multiple story simulator will take you into the world of Avatar as you are flying on the back of a Banshee. It is hyper realistic, the screen is incredible, the smells are incredible, and it gets a lot of people emotional and built up as they're on the ride. Well, normally it's easy to see people come off the ride and have interactions. In fact, one of my absolute favorites is there was a man that walked off and he said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he said, "Well, I just want to let you know that ride just gave me flashbacks to Vietnam." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry?" And he was like, No, I used to fly a helicopter. They were great memories." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great." A mom came off the ride one time with her kids, and the only thing I heard her say was, "Yeah, guys, that's exactly what heaven's gonna be like, but we won't need a fast pass." Those are from the exit when you're the cast member that says goodbye. They take your 3D glasses and, they tell you have a great day. This other specific instance was when I was the cast member that gets you onto the ride vehicles. So when you have to watch the 2 separate pre-shows, that cast member is going to walk you in. They're going to tell you all about, if you have any questions for the ride, they're going to get you set up safely, and then, they send the ride off. Well, I was warned, and you're always warned if you're a cast member, if someone's going to come through and they've got service animals. I was warned specifically because there were a lot of service animals. It was 4 separate service dogs for 5 guests. That's a lot. One singular service dog is not a problem at all, but I mean, you do want to call the coordinators, you want to get things set up because there's going to be a cage. If the guests don't want to wait out there, like if they don't want to be split up and one person wait with the dog and the rest are on the ride, if they all want to ride together, you actually have to call your coordinator and you say, "Hey, we need someone to basically sit with the dog, someone that's considered like a responsible person, and they can make sure that the dog is taken care of in the case of an emergency situation or anything like that." So instead, I went and talked to this group and they were like, "Hey, no, half of us are going to go on the ride the first time, the other half are going to go on the second time, and the people that are waiting are going to stay with the dogs." And I was like, "Easy, no problem. Once that ride's over, I walk them through real quick and I could get them back on for the second time." This is where it got a little odd. As I am walking the initial group that's not going to ride the first time, I walk them there and at the exit and I'm like, "Okay, here you go. Just go ahead and wait here. I'm going to get you in about 10 minutes once the ride is over, and then I'll explain the whole process, blah, blah, blah." As I go to walk back in to get everyone else set up for the ride, I see the rest of the group coming out. And I'm like, "Oh," I assume they were confused. "That's okay. No, you can actually go back in there." And I explained the process. "No, sit here." And they were like, okay. I could tell they were feeling nervous, but to be honest, if you've never been on the ride before, I totally get it. It's a little nerve-wracking just because of how intense the situation is. I go and help a bunch of guests out, and I come back, and they're still nervous, and in fact, asked to get off the ride. And I'm like, that's totally okay. So I get them off. I don't know why they have a service dog. I don't know what the exact reasoning is. We don't really ask. And so I'm like, look, maybe they just need a moment. That's fine. I'll get the whole group on another round. Like, they'll have to watch the safety videos again, but whatever. If you're freaked out and you need some time, you need some time. So I go out there, I bring the whole group together, and I'm like, "Hey, just so you know, you're going to have to do this again. If someone else would like to ride instead, I can take those people on because you all watch the safety video, so it's fine if we switch someone out." They go, "Actually, we all need to talk to each other." And I was like, okay. In the back of my mind, I have a timer going off because we are trying to move this ride super fast. It is one of, if not the most popular ride at Disney's Animal Kingdom. We want efficiency to be the top of our, thought process, outside, of course, all the other Disney keys, making sure, being courteous and safety and all that stuff. But you're still thinking about it in the back of your head, like, we need to move. They're like, "We need a couple of moments," and I'm like, "That's okay." And I kind of wait to the side for maybe 10 seconds, and they were like, "We're going to need a lot of time." And I was like, "That's okay. Just so you know, you're not going to be able to go on this one. You got to go back through." And they're like, "That's fine." And I explained, "Hey, I'll be back." Run back inside. I set the vehicle off, whatever, goes like normal. I then call while that ride's going off, and I'm like, "Hey, just so you know, these people are waiting, so maybe you want to leave an extra 2 or 3 spots. Maybe we're going to send them through on the next one." Well, that was my mistake. So once I load the next set of vehicles, I go right back in, and I then go and see them. I'm like, "Hey, are you guys doing good?" At this point, all 5 of them are huddled up like this. Like a football huddle, sort of. They're just really close and they're all talking to each other. And I didn't want to break this up because I didn't know what exactly was happening, but I got close enough to be like, hi, I'm the cast member here to hopefully help. What's going on? And they stare at me and they're like, we're going to need some more time. And I said, that's okay. I mean, to be honest, I really didn't care. I was a cast member who was just going back and sending the ride through. The only reason I really cared is I wanted to make sure they got on the ride, especially before I was switched out to another role. I wanted to make sure they were actually okay, of course, and then just trying to make sure they have room and do whatever. So I go back in, send another round, come back out after that. Again, they've been waiting in this, not exit area, but kind of holding exit area right before you leave the ride. And they've been in there for a while now, probably 20-ish minutes. I go back out for this 3rd time and I'm like, are we doing okay? And the I don't want to say leader, but it was the person that every single time I talked to them was usually the person that talked to me. So we had now, of the 5 people, 3 of them were sitting on the ground with the dogs, to which I got a little nervous at first. I was afraid someone was either having an anxiety attack or this was maybe something related to blood pressure and someone could pass out. Thankfully, one of the first things they said was, no, it's okay. They're fine. They're just hanging out. Again, that's fine with me. If you want to sit on the ground, you sit on the ground. They weren't in the way of guests. They're fine. I go up and I'm like, okay, so what can I do to help you guys? And the, again, leader walked up to me and he was like, we've been thinking and we've been really feeling the air, to which I really hope I didn't make a face. In my mind, I probably made a little face because I was like, feeling the air? Okay. And they're like, right now, our spirit guides are not telling us that we should go on this attraction. And I said, okay, that's fine. Do you want to go on the ride at all today, within this hour? Again, I wasn't trying to kick him out. Not really trying to be judgmental, but I am confused and I don't know where we're at this point. And the guy just goes, look, our spirits and our beings, the aura of this building isn't what we were hoping to align with. And I was like, okay, so would you like me to go back in a little bit and come and get you? And they were like, yes. So once again, go run through, send the vehicles. At this point, I have our coordinator call down to me and be like, what is going on? I explain it real quick, and the coordinator just kind of sits silent and goes, all right, I don't know how to help you there. And I was like, no, I don't know how to help them either. I'm going to hope that they're feeling fine afterwards, but I don't know. So, vehicle gets sent, another round, come back out. At this point, they've been out there for 30 minutes at least. And I'm like, and this is in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm trying to be very open, be very kind, try to help, but I don't know what the solution is here. I've never been told that the aura is off. People joke and say that the vibes are off, but I've never heard of someone using that as a reason not to go on the ride. You know, there's people who are anxious about rides. I had that a lot when I worked at Space Mountain, and there's people who maybe just don't feel like doing the attraction, and that's fine too. But I was like, I honestly have no idea how I am supposed to deal with this situation. And again, not deal in a bad way. They were fine. They weren't in the way of anyone. They were just sitting there, and it's fine. But I just, usually you could figure out a solution as a cast member in 10 seconds, and we're at the half an hour point, and I still don't know what to do. So I go up to them and I'm like, how are the spirits? How are we feeling? And the guy walks back, you know, they've been at that group, they were doing the huddle again, some people were sitting on the ground, but the guy walks over to me and puts a hand on my shoulder and he was like, I want to thank you, your kind spirits, the way that your life force is around you. I can tell that you mean well. And I'm sitting there going, okay. A little confused, but okay. Didn't say that out loud, obviously, but I was definitely thinking I was a little confused, but I was like, that, okay. And the guy just goes, at this time, between the air and our spirits, our body, and what we are being told, we need to leave. And I was like, oh, okay, you need to exit? I was like, I can get you a return pass to come back. Thankfully, this was so nice when I worked at Flight of Passage. The management was really, really good about allowing us to give out what we called, it's like the Golden Fast Pass, Fast Pass at that time, I know it's Lightning Lane and Multi-Lane now, whatever. But at the time, you could basically scan someone's Magic Band of their card and get them back onto this ride or put them on the Navi River journey. It was great, and it was so nice for guest services. So I was like, I can offer you this. And they were like, no, we don't want to waste your time. To which I was just getting paid hourly, so any amount of my time was the same amount. I was happy to help. But I was like, okay, no, I mean, you're fine. You're totally fine. And they gather all of their stuff up, go to walk out the doors. The whole group goes, and the guy, as he's leaving, just, may your spirit be one with the Avatar and the skies. And I just went, thank you. I don't really, to this day, know what would have been the correct solution on that. I tried giving them time. I tried giving them different options. I hope they had a great day, but I'll be honest, I was confused, and I did not know how to help this situation. You know, when you're getting trained as a cast member, you get told about different ways in which you can help guests out. You can accommodate anything from, you know, emotional, physical. Disney even has some solutions for different ways if people want to practice their religion in the parks. You can recommend ways to do that or different spots where they can have a more private area. I don't know what the answer was. And if anyone knows what they were talking about or has a solution, please let me know in the comments. Because I was trying to be respectful, but I was also incredibly confused. And I don't know what the solution was. I hope they had a good rest of their day. I hope their aura and their spirits and the air inside the park really was magical, and that maybe they got to do something else or go back on the ride later. But I don't know. And you never know what you're going to be told every day that you're a cast member. And that's a cast member story.